to delay ourselves about 45 minutes or so, but we're ready to go in Oxford. As Bucceño deals today's first pitch to Kinsey Fiedler. And it's in there called strike. We're off and running for game one of our three-game set between number 1 Tennessee and number 20 Ole Miss. Thanks for being with us tonight. Fiedler hitting .379 this season in that leadoff spot for Tennessee. She's from Lee's Summit, Missouri. Began her career at Washington. She's a member of the Pac-12 All-Freshman team in her first year of college softball. This is year 4 for her. Pitch from Bucceño. And they're called strike from Jill Poole behind home plate. Emerus Addison's our first base umpire today. Matt Dial is at third. How critical will it be today, Carly, for Bucceño to throw those first pitch strikes? We were talking a little bit about that earlier today.
Extremely important. I think it's going to be important for her to get ahead of the count because these Tennessee hitters, they're aggressive. They get on and they move around pretty easily.
Dude, especially Fiedler. 50 hits this season for Fiedler. The first time in her career she's had 50 hits or more.
You know, and it's interesting watching a lefty, start, and she really does utilize every part of her skill by swinging away and not slapping.
Swings away there, but right at Taylor Malvin, the center fielder for Ole Miss, who makes the catch. One away for Tennessee to begin. Then you have a freshman like Miley Bucceño right now tying her shoe in the circle. Leads Ole Miss in strikeouts this season with 159. Third in the SEC, that's 20th as well across the country, just as a freshman. Most strikeouts, too, by a Rebel pitcher since 2019. It surpassed Molly Jacobson's 100. I should say she's chasing Molly Jacobson's 166 here tonight. You didn't have over 150 strikeouts when you were a freshman, right, in your career?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Here's Panel. Without a doubt, Tennessee's most dangerous hitter. Hitting .443 coming into today. In her third season at Tennessee, she got hurt her first year. A roller, first base side and through, a base hit. Boy, she can really hit it hard. That wasn't her hardest hit ball today, but it goes down as a hard hit.
Right, it does. It does.
Panel's on first base with their 59th hit this year.
It looks like she thought maybe that ball was coming inside, and it kind of caught her at the very end of the barrel. And with your defense back.
Panel's on first base. She is a threat to run. She's 9 for 10 in stolen base attempts this season. As McKenna Gibson steps up, takes a 1-0 count to start. In year 4 at Tennessee, two-time All-SEC first-teamer in the last 2 seasons. Also, Bucceño, earlier today actually, NFCA listed her as National Freshman of the Year on their top 25 list. Fly ball to the right side. Claire Boutte, the former Lady Volunteer, makes the catch. 2 away for Tennessee in this first inning.
If Bucceño can keep her off speed like that, I think that she'll be okay today.
What is so special about her off-speed pitch? Everyone's been telling us, you got to watch this off-speed. You got to see her change up. What is it that makes it so special?
I think there's a lot of spin on it, and I don't think that as hitters you can tell by the way that she moves, or a lot of times you'll see whether or not, if you expect to see a slowdown, or you expect to see a kind of a stopping movement in the arm and not finish through or follow through on the pitch. And she does a really good job at hiding that.
Yeah. Sophia Nugent at the plate.
A menace at the plate.
A menace?
A menace at the plate, both offensive and defensively.
How so?
Look at her. I mean, she's takes control of the game. You know, I mean, she's through and through a catcher. You can tell something's happening here, though.
Yeah, walks over towards her dugout. Having a conversation with one of her new assistant coaches, Craig Snyder. And maybe just wanted to get a little piece of advice.
Either that or she had to have seen something.
Mm-hmm.
She's picking up on something, maybe. I mean, and you know, she is a catcher, so if anyone's going to be able to pick up on anything that the pitcher is doing, it's going to be her. And talk about one that really utilizes the lower half here. Her bottom frame is a powerhouse for her.
It needs to be as a catcher too, right? I mean, you're crouching a lot.
Absolutely.
She does have 11 homers this year too, 45 RBIs. That lower frame is where all that power comes in as a hitter.
Absolutely. I mean, she's in the back of the box.
Swings and misses at 67 miles an hour from Wacheno.
She's got a little pop today.
Well, the #1 team in the nation's in town. Runner on first for Tennessee. Up and in, 3-2.
Why not come back with the same pitch?
Nugent hitting 4th for the Lady Vols tonight. Payoff pitch. And we'll do it again. Wacheno's looking for a bounce back start too. At Georgia last Friday night, she only lasted an inning and 2/3. Allowed 7 runs, 6 of them earned, and Ole Miss wound up winning that game 20-11. Sounds like a SEC football game, if anything. Nugent stays alive.
And there you see Wacheno with the same pitch, just hammering the inside hands there, trying to get a pop-up. Not giving her anything she can lift.
Obviously, with 11 homers this year, you don't want her to lift much, do you?
No, you don't.
8th pitch of the at-bat, to Nugent from Wacheno, the freshman. Payoff is pulled foul. What does that pitch tell you? Or I should say, what does that foul ball tell you as a pitcher?
She's making adjustments.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of adjustments. Which could have been part of that conversation she may have just had with her new assistant coach.
She is a senior, began her career at Oklahoma, Nugent. And year 2 for her at Tennessee.
She's just got a beautiful swing.
Pops her up. Who's got it? And it's De Leon, the shortstop, who makes the catch. Tennessee strands one. No
swinging at anything you don't want with feet back in the box.
Jane Pone on a 11-game hit streak, swings at the first pitch and lobs it over to the second baseman, Dodge. And Pone led it off for Ole Miss. Claire Boutte, the former Lady Vol, coming up to bat now for Ole Miss. And haven't talked about Lexi Brady yet. First 6 games, she's 0 for 11 since she has 15 homers. 45 RBIs, those 15 homers, is tied for most in a single season in Ole Miss history. And Boutte, facing her former teammate in Pickens, takes inside.
You have to question what's going on inside both of their heads.
Especially as former teammates.
What she's seen before and what she hasn't seen. What growth is there. You imagine that, you know, Carlin Pickens has gotten better over the few years.
2-0 to Boutte. 2-1. Boutte was with Tennessee for the 2022 and 2023 seasons. Did miss a little bit of time due to injury not too long ago. In fact, Boutte crashed into the right field sidewall in the Florida series, missed some time. Came back in the Georgia series last weekend. A career .312 hitter. And chops it to first, and it's foul, according to Jill Poole, our home plate umpire.
At least there's still smiles.
Yeah, Larry Boutte said earlier, there's no animosity, obviously, with the transfer portal. You just never know the situation. It was a clean break.
No hard feelings.
She's still friends with a lot of the players in Summit Blue tonight. Chopper to first, almost a weird hop for Gibson. She steps on first base. But Boutte went to the Women's College World Series with Tennessee. Talked about her positive experience in Knoxville. Here's the defense for Tennessee. Savia Morgan, Kinsey Fiedler, Alana Leach, Laura Mealer, Ella Dodge up the middle, McKenna Gibson, Taylor Panel in the corners. And Nugent, the catcher today. And Nugent chases after the foul ball above home plate, but it gets out of play. 0-1 to Aaliyah Binford, the Baylor transfer in year one at Ole Miss. Binford is in her 6th season of softball. Spent 5 years in Waco. Having a great season for Ole Miss. Checked at it, and Binford went around. 0-2 with 2 down. Boy, Carlin Pickens looks the part tonight. Say she went. I think her face knows she went too. High heater, strike 3. Pickens sees the minimum. Through 1 in Oxford. No score between number 1 Tennessee and number 20 Ole Miss.
Absolutely. You talk about, her pitching staff and how well that she staffed this team as a whole, offensively and defensively. Karen said multiple times throughout the season that this is probably one of the strongest teams that I think that she's ever, had the privilege of being able to coach.
Gabby Leach leads off this second inning for the Lady Vols. And the count's even, 1-1. There's Coach Weekly. 8 Women's College World Series appearances, 13 Supers. Over 1,300 career wins in 24, this is year 24 for her at Tennessee. Over 1,100 wins at Tennessee. A joy to talk to earlier today. Coming off that loss, the midweek loss against number 19 Clemson in 9 innings, 4-3 in favor of the Clemson Tigers on Tuesday.
Makes for a long midweek game traveling to Oxford this weekend.
That was called a strike, 2-2. And you think the Lady Vols would be super hungry, right? Coming off a midweek loss like that?
Absolutely. You think you come into town, regardless of the rain delay, I know that kind of throws a pinch and everything, but I think the girls absolutely come out today ready to hit. And selective at bats. I think that's going to be important for UT. Karen Weekly over there telling them to lay off of the off speed, trying to pick up what you can off of the pitcher, if anything at all.
Three-two to Leach. She works the walk. First one today for Miley Wachenio. Her 58th two on the season. She struggled with that command at times, Carly, but when you're a freshman, that is something that comes along as you grow older.
Yes, with experience. I think you get put in tough positions, tough situations, in games that truthfully come down to whether or not you beat yourself. A lot of times, good hitters are they're gonna hit good pitches. That's part of the game. You at least expect to come out of a game series playing against girls that make you better.
So go ahead.
You're okay. I think calming down here, though, just like now, having the catcher go out there too and kind of talk to the girls, tell everybody to slow down. They've had a runner on first now for 2 innings.
Yeah. Zoe Schuler pinch running at first base, number 11 for Tennessee. That brings up Ella Dodge in her first at bat tonight. You talked about free passes, and let's go back to that Tennessee loss to Clemson. Because of the free passes, that really allowed Clemson to strike second and take the lead.
It's the hardest thing to do, as a pitcher, especially because that falls on your shoulders. When you give somebody a base, you're not leaving much room for anybody to help you out because it really is only you to answer.
Ella Dodge showing bunt. Hitting .225 coming into today.
With an impressive on-base percentage.
And Wachenio calls time. Runner goes, slapped on the ground and past Lansdell into left. Hustling her way to third base is Schuler. Tennessee has runners on the corners here in the second. A little hit and run does him a favor. That brings up Laura Mealer. And Jamie Traxel is out having a chat with Jill Poole, and now has a chat with Matt Dial, third base ump, and is our crew chief today. See what the challenge is.
The ruling on the field is that the runner left on time at first base prior to the release of the pitch. Ole Miss is challenging that the runner left early at first base. This play is under further review.
All right, so our video review center will take a look at this. They are looking to see if Schuler left first base early on that hit and run. But this is a big situation for Tennessee because right now they have runners on the corners, and you're just looking to see if Schuler left before or after Wachenio lets the ball go.
If she left before.
Yes. We got a pretty good look at it there from our Hawkeye video review system. Both teams start out the ball game with 2 challenges. If their challenge is correct, they keep that challenge. It looked like Schuler might have left early.
I think she may have. I think everybody needs to slow down.
Yeah?
Slow it down.
Sometimes though that's harder than it looks, right?
Absolutely. There's so much anticipation right now. And like you said, there's not animosity, but there's a lot of combustion surrounding this series here in Oxford this weekend, I think, for both teams.
The crowd getting a look at it in venue, and they are agreeing with Jamie Traxel. Looks like Matt Dial has his call.
After further review, it's been determined that the runner left early. Therefore, the runner's out. Now he will come back to the box with a 2-ball count.
So now Ella Dodge has to come back to the plate. Schuler is retired. And that's a bit of an early momentum killer if you're Tennessee, right? You get that free pass and the pinch runner winds up leaving early.
That has to hurt, especially with, I mean, I know that Karen Weekly has talked about not leaving base runners on. And right now I think that they're struggling to do that pretty heavily within the first 2 innings here.
So that brings Dodge back to the plate with a 2-0 count. And fouls it off down the first base side. And these are the little things, too, that Karen Weekly talked about after that Clemson loss, because in the 5th inning when Clemson scored 3 runs to take a 3-1 lead, that inning started with a hit-by-pitch single and a walk to load the bases. Then an error by Carlin Pickens scored 3 runs.
And you would assume that coming out today, they don't want to do anything close to how that game landed. Something Dodge will do is she will lay a sneak here.
Might as well catch the defense off guard, right?
Absolutely.
But you hate that as a pitcher, though, don't you?
Yes. At that point, you're looking to both your left and your right, and they're both behind you.
So 1 away for Tennessee. A roller to Pickens. So what was runners on the corners and nobody out is now 2 outs, nobody on.
You also have to question, Coach Jamie, too, and knowing when to make the right challenges. Which ones will matter and which ones don't. Right now, if she doesn't challenge that, you're in a position now where you technically could possibly have a runner on second and third with runners still in scoring position and 2 outs, which is something that Karen Weekly has talked about. She wants to see more production from her team with 2 outs or more.
Yeah, and Tennessee would love to see that 2-out production here with Laura Mealer. First at bat tonight, hitting over 300 this season. And a called strike.
We were talking earlier about hitters not looking to lift anything. This one's not, but you talk about getting on base. This girl finds a way to get on.
Obviously.
She's selective. She swings early, but she is very, very selective, and she gets on quite a bit.
You don't hit 310 unless you're selective and picky and able to put the ball in play. Down on the count, though, 1-2 to Miley Wachenio. Again, struggled last Friday night against Georgia, allowed 6 earned runs in an inning and 2/3.
Doesn't seem to have shaken her much, though.
Misses high and in. Crowd wanted it. She also struggled a couple of Fridays ago, too, against Florida. Allowed 7 earned runs in 2 1/3 innings of work. So looking for just a solid Friday night outing. Trying to get back on track. She's been so good this year. 2-2's up and in. Look to be the exact same spot. So it's 3-2. This is the cat and mouse game that you love as a pitcher, right? Or I should say, the analyst that was once a pitcher.
The struggle here to try to really settle into the strike zone, I mean, the hard part is that she's getting that ball called, and then she's not.
Was on the corners and nobody out is now 3 up, 3 down for Tennessee. Nobody out is now 3 up, 3 down for Tennessee. For a resume builder against #1 Tennessee this weekend on the Tennessee side of things. Right now, 4th in the SEC, game and a half back out of first place. Right now, if the SEC tournament started today, they would get a double bye. Ouch, that hurts. Percy Yamas takes the HBP. And we know that Carlin Pickens throws heat. And that's one of those situations where you're glad, Carly, that you're wearing the elbow guard.
Absolutely. Those are relatively new. I mean, we had them a lot. A few of the girls had them, back when I played, but it just goes to show, how much the sport has grown, how much better the girls and the players have gotten, and how much more tougher the sport has gotten.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, with the face masks with pitchers, majority of the time, you don't see a lot that don't wear them.
That brings up Lexi Brady, Ole Miss's most powerful hitter. Has 15 homers this season. That's tied for the most in a single season at Ole Miss. This is also how that 5th inning started for Clemson earlier this week when Pickens hit the first batter, allowed a single, and then a walk to load the bases up. And then an error by Pickens led to 3 Clemson runs. Eventually Tennessee bounced back. They went to extras, then Clemson won in 9 innings on Tuesday. Karen Weekly said, too, it wasn't Pickens' best start. She just looked off today, missed some of that fire that you normally see.
There was a phenomenal off-speed pitch there.
More on Lexi Brady. She's 4th all-time in Ole Miss history with 32 homers, 8th with over 100 career RBIs. And Brady launches this down the line, over the pole. It's foul. Jill Poole, the home plate umpire, said it was foul. Oh, so close to number 16 on the season and a new record at Ole Miss. Man. And Brady doing the Carlton Fisk. Stay fair, stay fair. 3-2.
You know, for those Rebel hitters, it's crucial for their at-bats, you know, that they get the barrel of the ball or the barrel of their bat to her ball. Truthfully, she's going to provide majority of the speed. All you have to do is make connection.
Carlin Pickens in SEC play has only allowed 2 home runs.
You could tell in her face she thought that might have just been the third.
7th pitch of the at-bat coming up. Ball 4. 2 on for Ole Miss without a hit.
A hit by pitch and a walk.
And Ole Miss did put the bat on the ball back in the first inning. A bloop out, grounder to first, then a strikeout by Pickens. And Pickens is going to get a circle visit here from Megan Rhodes Smith. What's this conversation about, you think?
Temperature check.
Yeah.
Figuring out where she's at, what's working, what isn't working, what's different, you know. Calling a timeout this early in the game, I mean, right now you're just trying to shift the narrative here too, kind of slow Ole Miss down with runners on first and second and no outs.
Yeah, Megan Rhodes Smith knows what she's doing. Year 5 at Tennessee, former Lady Vol too. Also, Tennessee pitchers since she got there, 8 no-hitters, 4 perfect games. That's 8 more no-hitters and 4 more perfect games than a lot of other programs can say since 2021. Pickens has been in that position before as well. Leads the SEC in ERA, and 3rd in the country in ERA too. Her ERA is .95. And Mackenzie Pickens just saw 73 miles an hour. How do you adjust to 73 as a hitter? As Star Ferguson comes in to pinch run for Ole Miss.
I think you make adjustments in the box. You know, you'll watch that hitters will move their feet into the back of the box there in hopes that
Mueller couldn't glove it. The throw home's not in time. Ferguson scores and Ole Miss leads. Not the way Ole Miss drew up the first run today.
and it's not always has to be the hardest hit. I mean, right there was situational hitting. You know, you had your third baseman up, and it took that hop right after, you know, a slight rain here that might also be part of a factor here in how the ball is bouncing off of the ground. We were talking about some slower rollers here, which I think could help. Pickens looking a little stressed.
And up steps Ashton Lansdell, who's homered in her last 4 games. Infield in for Tennessee with runners on second and third.
Ole Miss hitters are making a really good adjustment right now and laying off of her rise ball, which is one of her go-to pitches.
And so is that one, right?
Yes.
The wicked stuff.
The wicked stuff. There you go. You know, she'll also throw not just an off speed, but she'll throw a drop ball too. So she really will utilize the entire frame. Which is hard to see. You know, you see something coming at you 77 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden here comes something that's, you know, 53 or 54.
Now 3-1. This inning started with a hit by pitch and a walk. And Mackenzie Pickens given the RBI single to the left side to put Ole Miss on top 1-0. Fouled off by Lansdell at 72.
Not throwing as fast as I think she usually does. But you start to see that later in the year, you know. The more games you throw, the wear and tear on everything, you know you're in the hardest season here.
Lansdell fouls it off behind home plate. You mean 422 innings and 2/3 will do that to you? There's some fatigue there?
There's nothing. It's nothing, you know. It's just a day, just another day in the ballpark, right?
Yeah, I mean, Pickens, too, on her way to become a 2-time All-American at this point. Consensus first-team All-American last year. Reigning SEC Pitcher of the Year, the second Lady Vol to do that in program history. In some trouble here, though, in the second. As Lansdell looks at strike 3. Pickens needed that. Second strikeout today.
You know, you like to see from Pickens that she makes this adjustment here, especially having given the same situation, you know, during their midweek game that cost him the game.
De Leon shows bunt. Brady comes home. Side flip to the plate's not in time. Jamie Traxel calls for small ball. And Ole Miss leads 2-0.
We talked about that earlier on in the game, making smart choices, small decisions. Simple ball was going to play a large factor in whether or not the Rebels showed up to play today.
Is it because that young woman that you're seeing on your screen is so good at what she does?
I definitely think it's part of the approach you take when making adjustments and facing her, absolutely.
Taylor Malvin with a hefty swing. Angelina De Leon, too, with now 16 RBIs this year. It's Taylor Malvin having the best year of her career, most productive year, too. She's down quick, 0-2. This inning began. Pickens hit Percy Yamas and walked Lexi Brady after a lengthy near 10-pitch at bat. As Malvin stays alive. And Mackenzie Pickens gets the RBI single, and then Angelina De Leon causes some chaos.
I think you're seeing it from both teams. You know, they're both working the pitchers. We're talking about, you know, how many pitches each at bat is seen. I think they've seen pitchers anticipated.
De Leon takes second base. Pickens stays at third. And it's 1-2 to Taylor Malvin.
And you don't need anything big here.
Chopper to short. Tennessee goes to first for out number 2. Pickens comes home. 3-run inning for Ole Miss. 2 of those runs scoring on free passes, or reach base because of free passes.
It's hard. It's hard to return from something like that, especially this early in the game. You know, you imagine that Pickens is probably going through a couple of different things in her own head right now.
Top of the order at the plate, and Jaden Pone. Swung at the first pitch from Carlin Pickens and blooped out to second base. Leads Ole Miss with a .402 batting average coming into tonight.
Struggles to find the strike zone here.
Yeah, not as sharp as she was in that first inning.
No, she wasn't. It looks a little, something just looks a little off. You know, I know the sun has finally kind of gone down. It's a little cooler out. Maybe she's having a hard time seeing.
Pickens waved at that, 0-2. Rain delay too, maybe got her a little out of her routine that she normally does before she pitches. 45-minute rain delay here in Oxford. She gets Jaden Pone, strike 3. And that ends the inning. Ole Miss scratches 3 runs across thanks to 1 hit and a couple free passes too by Carlin Pickens. Now doing the sumo walk.
I wonder if there's other colors.
Oh, I bet there's a pack somewhere. Amazon's got everything. You don't order just one thing on Amazon, you order 5 to 10. Well, we begin this third inning with Ole Miss on top of Tennessee 3-0. Alana Leach at the plate. Fouls it off, 0-2 to start. Gotten at bat against Clemson earlier this week. This is game number 30 for Leach. Twin sister Gabby is also in the lineup today. She walked.